Welcome to So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent. If you are trying to evaluate whether real estate is the right career for you, wondering whether you are doing the right things to launch into quick success, or looking for tips and tools you can use today to become a more productive agent, this is your podcast. Welcome to So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent. This is Season 4, Learning from Legends. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Meredith Fogel, and today I am super excited to be kicking off Season 4 with a very special guest, Anthony Marguleas. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. For those who don't know Anthony, he runs a company called Amalfi Estates, and Anthony is a very successful and very well-known agent in Southern California. In fact, Anthony, I read that you were within the top 10 of over 2 million agents and teams nationally. Congratulations. And you had a kind of record-breaking sale recently of the Hearst estate, which I want to ask you about too. So cool. Anthony does a lot of contribution to media and runs a very successful team. So lots of questions for you, Anthony. Thank you for joining us.
Meredith, thank you. I need to correct you in the beginning. I'm a legend in my own mind. So that's pretty much the extent of it.
You're about to be a legend for our audience.
It kind of implies that you're like old and...
I know. I thought about, should I use that word? But I mean, I don't think you have to be old to be a legend. You can have made a real contribution to whatever field or interest you're in. And man, you've made a fantastic contribution to real estate.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, and your podcast is amazing. And I can't believe it's 4 years you've been doing this. So
me either. It is time has flown.
Yeah.
Time has flown. All right. Well, let's get started. So Anthony, first of all, our audience is comprised of all kinds of levels of agents, and some people who aren't even agents, who just listen for, I guess, entertainment value. I don't know. So hopefully we'll provide some entertainment value. Lots of questions for you, but a lot of agents who are listening might have kind of come from the very beginning of this, which the original premise of this podcast was kind of to talk people out of being real estate agents. We had so many people coming to us, I'm sure you've had this too, saying, I think I want to be in real estate. It looks like it's so fun. And I'm like, oh, gracious. And some of those people were really cut out to be real estate agents, but some were not. So we wanted to kind of tell the truth about what it looks like to be an agent. And, so we're looking back from a distance here. Anthony has been licensed since 1994, so longer than I have. And so you've seen a lot of different markets. But what was it, if you can kind of cast your mind back, that originally drew you to real estate as a career?
Yeah, so it's true. A lot of people watch $1 Million Listing and they think, wow, I can sell a $2 million house in a 30-minute episode. That's pretty cool. And they don't understand, the deals that fall out. And it's like looking at an iceberg and you see the tip of the iceberg and you don't realize all the stuff underwater.
Yes.
that it takes to be successful. So when I originally started, I had a real estate development company and we built homes, and I had that for... that was in 1992, 93, had that for several years, a few years in the beginning, and then started a mortgage company. We did residential brokerage, mortgage brokerage. That was started in 93, and we started our residential brokerage in 94. So, just coming up to almost 30 years for the residential brokerage. And always loved being an entrepreneur, always loved setting my own hours and setting my own goals. And, there's nothing better than a commission-based business to know if you're going to be successful or not. I love real estate and love helping people.
And so what was it like even before that? Take me back even farther back. What was it that brought you into like the path of entrepreneurship? Was it something that you learned in your education? Was it how you were raised? What do you think it was that sparked that?
My parents were, my father was an entrepreneur and started some businesses. And in college, I had started a couple businesses. So I'd always had an entrepreneurial mindset. So
cool.
And I just think being an agent, you really are an entrepreneur, right? You set your own hours.
Yeah.
You're basically wearing a lot of hats. You have to do marketing, and you have to be, bookkeeping and creative, and you're doing a lot as a real estate agent. So you really, it's probably one of the best professions other than waiting in between for your commission checks.
Right.
So in the beginning, it can be a little challenging. So
yeah. And speaking of the challenges at the beginning, is there anything particular that stands out to you that was a challenge that might have been unexpected, or anything that you could sort of like harken back to at the beginning of your career that you would tell someone coming into it? Well, think about this before you dive in.
Sure. Yeah. I always recommend, if you're thinking about getting into real estate, get your license as early as possible. So whatever your state requirement is, if it's 18 or 21, get your license as soon as possible, and then buy real estate as soon as possible and jump in. Because a lot of the people say, well, I don't have enough for a down payment. But it's the same concept. If people say, I'm going to wait to have kids until I can afford them, you're never going to have kids. The same idea, right? Nobody can ever afford to have kids because they cost a lot of money and college is too expensive and everything else. So you just do it and you make it work. So same with real estate, right? You can buy a condo, or if your area of your market is really expensive, like LA or New York or Chicago or Florida, or buy in an area that's a little more affordable and buy a condo or go in with someone else. But real estate in general, that's how most people are going to make their wealth. And when you can buy a $500,000 property by putting $50,000 down, as opposed to buying $500,000 of Meta stock, where you have to pay $500,000 for that. Yeah. There's nothing better than buying real estate. So.
Absolutely. And is that what you did? You bought real estate first and then?
Yeah. Well, I had 4 kids, so I didn't put as much into real estate as I wanted to in the beginning. But later on, when we had more disposable funds, definitely buying real estate. And we have a niche too. I think it's really important there's such a competitive industry. As of last week, there's 1.53 million realtors. So to be a realtor, you got to be a member of the National Association of Realtors, and there's close to 2 million licensed agents. So it's such a competitive field. Have a niche that's going to separate your brand, whether that's you're going to do first-time home buyers, or whether it's you're going to be work the vacation market or the luxury market, or 1031 exchanges or commercial real estate, or maybe you're going to farm a certain neighborhood or a certain high-rise building. But something to differentiate yourself from all the other people out there, because it's a very, very crowded field, So that would be some advice that I would recommend as a new agent, doing that. So we do a lot with philanthropy. That's kind of our differentiation, if you will. And we did it from an authentic, genuine desire to make a difference in the world. So we give 10% of our commission to charity, and we have 6 charity partners that our clients, they choose from the 6 charity partners. So we have Make-A-Wish for kids, and Heal the Bay for the environment, and the People Concerned for homelessness, Wags and Walks for pets. Homeboy Industries is our local one. And what's the 6th? I'll remember. I know I'm missing one. Wags and Walks for dogs. Heal the Bay. American Cancer Society for health.
Yeah.
So, and we've been really fortunate. Our team, we have 10 agents on our team, and we've given $2 million to charity in the last 7 years.
Amazing.
Helping 50,000 families through our charitable initiative. So if you're thinking about getting into real estate, I think having a charity component is really valuable, and it separates you as being from being a salesperson to being a community leader and being involved in the community. I know, Meredith, you do a lot with that. I know on your bio. So
yeah, that's incredible. I think that's one of those things that is kind of fills you as a person, and also enables you to give in a way that helps the business grow. Honestly, I mean, you never go into it going, I want to get business out of it, but you just put something really good out into the world, and it comes back to you very naturally.
100%. I mean, we market ourselves as a philanthropic company that specializes in selling real estate.
I love that. And has that been...
Our legacy isn't going to be that we sold $2 billion in real estate, or we're the top 10 teams in the country. That's not a legacy. The legacy is the charitable giving that we've been able to help the communities and help less fortunate. And that's really what it's all about. And seeing seeing these 25-year-old, 30-year-old agents on our team, give back and model that behavior is amazing to see and watch.
Absolutely. And has that been something that you did ever since you were the beginning of your real estate career, or did that kind of evolve?
We started it about 7 years ago,
okay.
and it's evolved. I hired a charitable business consultant to help with it. Originally, I gave 100% from 2 commissions, and then I did, let's do 10%, and we let the client pick from any charity. So we had like 60 charities, and then I realized I wanted to be more impactful. So we narrowed it down to 6 categories. We hired the charitable consultant to help with that. But yeah, it's been that's really been the hiring process. It's a great filter tool if you're a team leader listening to this, or a broker owner, and if you want to have a philanthropic aspect. The type of agent that wants 100% office not going to gravitate to our company.
True.
Because the type that really cares about philanthropy and cares about altruism is going to gravitate to a company like ours, because millennials are going to be more enticed to want to work for a company that gives back, and they're going to be more concerned about the give back than making the highest commission split possible.
That is such a good point. And what a great way exactly to filter out someone who fits within we call it the avatar of our agents in our companies, but who fits with what you're looking for and what's going to align with you in terms
values.
of that.
Yeah. It ties right in with our core values, 100%.
Yeah. And how do you communicate that aspect of your company to prospective clients?
So every one of our ads, we market at the top of our ad. We pick one charity each week, and we say, this is, Heal the Bay, and this is how many tons of trash that we've picked up and how much we've given them. Or if it's Make-A-Wish, how many airfares we've procured for people that are being granted wishes. On all of our real estate signs in front of the properties, we have a sign writer that says 10% is given to charity. We really promote it as much as possible, really promoting the charities. So we don't really promote like, hey, look how much we gave, because but if the charity is going to promote it, then we'll tag ourselves in the social media post, because you have to be really delicate about the charitable giving. And we used to promote the dollar amount that we gave. Now we really promote the number of families or the lives that we've changed, because it's more of a personal story.
Yeah.
Like when you tell someone, we're writing a check for $2,000 or $3,000, that's okay. But when you say, look, we just rescued 20 dogs that were going to be euthanized, and there's a picture of the dog and there's a story behind it, it's a lot more impactful of a message, and it's more relatable telling a story than just the dollars behind it.
Absolutely. Love that. Love that. Love that. And talking about telling a story, the other thing that I think is really interesting about how you have gained market share and mind share, I would say, is your contribution to media. And so Anthony did, at a recent event that I attended, a presentation on gaining traction through media, using the media. Talk to the audience a little bit about that. I thought that was so fascinating.
Yeah. So I think it's the most underutilized aspect of real estate agents' business. And some of them are a little intimidated by it. Well, how do I get my name in the paper? And how do I get quoted? And how do I get on TV? And it can be a little overwhelming if you're not experienced with it. So one of the presentations I gave was 7 steps to get free media. And basically it's procuring relationships, reporters, and podcasts like yourself, where you find out what topics are of interest and you become the go-to expert. So just this week, for example, 2 days ago, I was on the front page of the LA Times because I've taken a vested interest in a new tax called ULA, United Los Angeles, where they added for properties on certain price points, more expensive properties, between $5 million and $10 million properties, they're charging an additional 4% transfer tax starting April 1st, starting Saturday.
Oh my goodness.
Brand new. And it goes into effect. So if you sell a home for $4,999,000, you pay $0 in additional transfer tax. you sell it for $1 more, $5 million, they're charging $200,000 additional transfer tax.
Oh my goodness.
And it's going toward helping the homeless. But the problem, the way they did it, it's unduly affecting very specific neighborhoods.
I'm sure.
And so it's a very populist stance. So I have researched it a lot. I've spoken on this topic. And so I get interviewed a lot on this. So it was a front page of the LA Times about a lot of realtors are giving incentives. They're giving free cars and vacations, trying to sell before April 1st. So I've done two-week escrows this month, which is 2 more than my entire career. Yeah, there's a lot of anxiety around it. And there's a ballot measure in a year to get it repealed.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's unconstitutional the way they set it up. So
right.
Think for stories, anyone listening, any stories that would be good that like contrarian stories. Think of he wrote the book Malcolm Gladwell.
Oh yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell puts a spin on things that are a little bit unique that people haven't really thought of.
Yeah.
And so one story I wrote, for example, when I was brand new in the business, and the Wall Street Journal picked it up, and it was comparing how many hours it took to be a real estate agent in California versus 15 other professions. So to be a lawyer, it took 9,000 hours. A doctor was 6,000 hours. To be a real estate agent was 20 hours to be a real estate agent. You don't need a college degree. And what was more interesting, you compared it to like to dye someone's hair, a hairdresser, was 3,500 hours. To drive a taxi was 150 hours.
Oh my gosh.
But to be a real estate agent, to help your largest investment of your life, was literally 20 hours.
Wow.
So that got picked up in the Wall Street Journal, and then 100 other publications picked it up.
Wow.
So think for ideas that are like a little bit unique, a little bit different. Use statistics. Those are really helpful. From Keeping Current Matters, we use that a lot. And, take a local reporter to lunch and go to coffee with them and be available. That's the other key, Meredith. If someone, a reporter calls you and says, I have a story deadline in an hour, pick up the phone immediately. Right. But it's great for your brand. It gives credibility. It gives validation. It puts you as a local expert. And it's been very, very helpful for our business.
Yeah. I mean, you've done so much with that. And I think it's so creative the way that you think about it. But I think in terms of like a plan for people, look for opportunity, make those connections, be available, those 3 things. And then if they can get deeper or more creative and think about contrarian perspectives or interesting storylines, that kind of catapults you to that next level.
Yeah. We were on the Dr. Phil show about 6 weeks ago on real estate bias in the real estate industry.
Really?
And it's a really important topic. And they basically were talking about how the least diverse profession in the country, out of 400 professions, the Bureau of Labor Statistics found appraisers are the least diverse profession. 97% of appraisers are white. So they did a lot of studies in neighborhoods of color and minority neighborhoods where white appraisers would devalue the homes.
Wow.
And a lot of it is just education. They maybe weren't comfortable. They don't really hang out with people that don't look like them. And so there's an inherent bias. So then they would whitewash the home, the homeowner, take the pictures of their family and put a white family, and the home would appraise for 30 to 40% higher.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, one of them was in Maryland.
Really?
A recent story was in Maryland, if you Google it.
I got to go look at that.
Fascinating story.
Yeah.
So these are the kind of topics that really the media really loves to talk about. And they're important.
So interesting. So interesting. What would you say to someone who maybe feels a little bit shy about being interviewed or, talking about a topic, or feels like they don't have it in them maybe to write, or, I had someone just the other day I asked to do a podcast and said, I kind of get like stage fright. What would you say to somebody who has that feeling?
So it's practice. So I get complete stage fright when I go and speak in front of a crowd or a group. I'm a social introvert. So when COVID hit, it gave me an excuse not to have to talk to people and be behind my computer. And I was very, very happy. But for most agents who aren't, most people are extroverts as agents, but it's practice. So the more you practice, so the Dr. Phil show, for example, I didn't know anything about this topic. I knew nothing about it. I Googled and researched, and I discovered about restrictive covenants and how they're written on grant deeds. That it says on many, many grant deeds throughout the country that you legally cannot sell a home to someone who's not unless they're of Caucasian race, and they're illegal, obviously, but they're still written in the grant deeds. So I didn't know it. So I just studied it for the week before the show to become an expert on the appraisal issue and the restrictive covenant issue. So whatever topic it is, just practice it and study it, and do not rely on your notes. Okay? And the more you do it, the more comfortable you do it, and the more times you do it, you're going to and take a public speaking class and be passionate about what you do. Have energy and be enthused, because people don't want a boring instructor. They want someone who has energy and they're passionate about it. That would be the key there.
Great advice.
Take a public speaking class.
And prepare, like you said. I think it's for people who are naturally a little bit introverted or have that stage fright, a lot of that can be overcome by just solid preparation.
And Meredith, the reporters love sound bites. And they love it if you're direct. So I don't really have a filter, and so I say things that sometimes people squirm a little bit, but I'm direct. So they love that, right? So they want honest, sound bites that will carry well in the paper, and hopefully not offend too many people at the same time.
Right. That definitely makes for good media, the sound bites and some controversy too, I think sometimes. Tell me about the Hearst estate. So I think that is so fascinating that was that the most expensive sale ever in the U.S. at auction, right? Is that
at auction? Yeah. So that's a great story on a couple different levels. So one, it was the most expensive home to ever sell at auction in the country. Now, until the one sold about 2 months later. So now it's the second most, but at the time it was the most expensive. But what's fascinating about that property was this. It was called the Beverly House for 75 years. So William Randolph Hearst and Marion Davies owned the property, and they called it the Beverly House. And they had 6 previous real estate agents try and sell that property. And I got there, I'm like, the Beverly House, that's not it just sounds boring. It's like, it doesn't even have the word estate in it. So and it ended up selling. We ended up selling it after we rebranded it to the Hearst Estate.
Oh my gosh!
Not to be confused with Hearst Castle, which is in San Simeon. Same owner. William Randolph Hearst, publishing magnate. So we rebranded it, and then we sold it for $63.1 million last year. And it was all because one of the main reasons was we rebranded the property. And by rebranding it, we got some incredible exposure and marketing, and it was great. So I've also rebranded neighborhoods. So I've taken some properties. If you're in a luxury market or you're in a market where there's a property that's a lot more expensive, I did this in Brentwood. There was a property on Norman Place, and it was the most expensive house in the entire neighborhood times 2. So I went in there and I rebranded the neighborhood. I go, this is in Norman Estates neighborhood. And all these local top brokers in Brentwood would come to me and they'd be like, Norman Estates, Anthony, I've never heard of that. I go, what do you mean you haven't heard of it? Norman Estates? This is like, these are all estate size, because I realized all the lots in this one neighborhood were half acre and 1 acre lots. So I rebranded a neighborhood and I just sold it with confidence. And so I got the most expensive cost per square foot, the most expensive price by times 2 of any property to ever sell in a neighborhood by rebranding a neighborhood that no one had ever heard of before.
So creative. And is that just you? Like, you're just that creative? Or is this something that you developed? Or, is this,
it just came to me.
It just, okay. So you've got the light bulb moments.
A high price. We better rename the neighborhood. Can you imagine taking a neighborhood in your town and renaming it? And then convincing everyone that's really the name of it.
Well, it's funny because that actually kind of happened where I live. There's the area that I'm in is Gaithersburg, but Potomac which is a very high price point area just adjacent to us. And always has been on, giant estate properties, on huge lots and things like that. But when Gaithersburg started to get built up, some people started to call parts of it North Potomac. And same kind of an idea. There's not a North Potomac post office. There's no like incorporated city of North Potomac. People just decided they were going to call like the bigger houses in Gaithersburg North Potomac. And you can call anywhere in Gaithersburg, North Potomac. Yeah, that's so creative and interesting though. That's total brilliant. And that's why you are who you are. All right. So tell me about how you decided to build a team. Like when was it time to start to build a team? How'd that process work for you?
Really good question. So I owe that to my coach. So that was, we use Workman Success Systems, big fan of them. So when I started, I called them 7 years ago. I was doing $100 million in sales with myself and 2 assistants. And I was doing well. You could argue by any definition that's a successful agent. But I was working crazy hours and I didn't really have my life. And my coach said, look, you got to build a team and you're at the stage of your career. You can start mentoring and passing the knowledge that you have in your head. What they say is, after you've done this long enough, I've forgot more stuff than most people know. Right?
Yeah.
So I said, okay. So that was the next chapter. So we started building the team and we went from, 100 million to 200 million to 500 million we did in 2021. And I was working less hours and mentoring agents and seeing them create amazingly successful lives. So my 2 big whys are helping and mentoring our agents have financially rewarding lives and then giving as much back to charity as we can. And those are the 2 big whys and everything is focused around those 2.
Wonderful whys.
Our coach at Workman helped create that, and it's very gratifying seeing 25-year-old, 30-year-olds buy their first house, buy their first investment property, hit things that are on their vision board and their bucket list, and pass down the giving altruism, giving back to some of these charities. So it's very, very rewarding. So
wonderful.
So we started growing the team.
And what is the structure of your team? Or do your agents work with buyers and sellers, or is it
they work buyers and
specialization?
sellers.
Okay.
So we're really a hybrid model. Agents work for Amalfi Estates like they would Sotheby's or another boutique firm, and then they have a support of a team behind them. So it's a very hybrid model. They're able to, most teams you're capped at 50%. You can't do listings. Your name's not on the MLS. It's all about the team leader. We're intentionally not the Marguleas team for a reason, because of that, because we really want to I want their agents to grow their own brand so they can have their name under Amalfi Estates. It can be the Singer Realty team. So Chad, one of our top agents, we just opened a Dallas office. It's going to be announced in about 2 weeks.
Ooh, congratulations.
So one of our top agents moved to Dallas.
Wow.
And it's Singer Realty under Amalfi Estates.
Ah, fantastic.
So we're excited about that. So.
That is so exciting. Congratulations. That is awesome. That's awesome.
So they're sales partners. The sales partners is their title. And they can be buyers and sellers, and just like they're working for any other company, but they have a team support behind them.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Yeah. And I feel like we could talk for so long, but I want to ask you this question. Where did the name of your company come from, Amalfi?
So good question. So we started off, we were buyers only agents for the first 2 years. We didn't take listings. That was our niche.
Interesting.
And it was called AM Realty.
Okay.
And my initials, Anthony Marguleas.
Okay.
And we rebranded to a luxury brand, Amalfi Estates. So in the Palisades, where my Pacific Palisades is between Santa Monica and Malibu, there's a street called Amalfi Drive, and more celebrities live on Amalfi Drive. Steven Spielberg, Whoopi Goldberg, tons of celebrities live on this street. So we rebranded. I like the AM that for my initials that are in Amalfi, and I like the luxury name, so we rebranded it to Amalfi Estates.
Wow, that's cool. I like that. And again, so smart the way that you thought about the branding and made it really resonant. Yeah. Very, very cool.
We're going to be in DC. I don't know how close you are from.
Very close.
Yeah, but I had 2 kids at Georgetown. One is graduated and one's graduating in May. So
oh my gosh, congratulations. Oh, cool, cool.
I'm tempted to buy a house there. If I do, I will call you.
I know a good agent. I know a good company that can help you. Thank you. Yeah, this is actually a really fun area to live in. And so let me have that lead me to, I guess, what's going to be my last question, that we could talk for so much longer. How was it as a parent for those of us who are listening, who are, parents, because this is, although it doesn't take a lot of hours to become a licensed real estate agent, it takes a whole heck of a lot of hours to be a successful real estate agent. What would you say to an agent who, 4 kids, you said, who has their hands maybe full or are feeling like it might be, a lot of bandwidth to be able to do this professionally?
Yes, well, my oldest, Max, he's 26, works for me. And my other son, who's graduating from Boulder, so I have twins.
Oh my
gosh.
He's
got his license. He's going to work for me as well.
Oh, how cool.
2 of the 4 will be. I think having time blocking is crucial. So Workman Success Systems has an ideal week calendar, which is great. And then they have time blocking. And agents, the busier you get, the more efficient you're going to be with your time. So when you get your first deal in escrow, it's hard to work in the business versus on the business, but you constantly have to be prospecting. We call it daily success habits. And you want to be spending at least 2 hours every day doing money-making activities, which is door knocking, sitting open houses, writing offers, prospecting, because we get so busy not doing those things. So it's just really, really important to do that. And a good coach can help with that.
Yeah.
It's really, really important. And I am worried with COVID, the knowledge passed down from you and me to newer agents. COVID has changed it so much because people aren't going to the office as much. And I'm really, really worried about this transfer of knowledge is not going to be passed down. There's going to be in every industry.
Yeah.
So if you're a new agent, if you can join a top team, you can partner with a top agent. There's nothing better. That apprenticeship is worth millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. I mean, like literally, I've been teaching at UCLA for 19 years, the contracts and negotiating, and I've reviewed like 9,000 contracts. So the knowledge that someone has, that you're just not going to get. I mean, what we sell in 1 year, the average agent sold in their whole career.
Yeah.
So it's that knowledge that you really want to partner with a top agent. Even if you have to do it for free, it's worth it, 100%.
Great advice. Could not agree with you more. So true. And the synergy that you get through the idea sharing, huge, especially as you're starting out. Fantastic. Man, Anthony, this has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, for all of the advice that you have given us. Anything else that you want to share, including please share where people can find you.
Yes, so AmalfiEstates.com, and we cover all of Los Angeles. We cover whether it's a $500,000 condo or whether it's a very expensive house. We have agents that cover all of LA, and AmalfiEstates.com. And if you want to reach out, you have any questions about media, I'm more than happy to help. Any listener of Meredith's, I'm happy to phone call, whatever I can do to help. So.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. This is wonderful. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us.
You are welcome.
Thank you
Hopefully
to our listeners.
next.
Yes, I would love that. Thank you to our listeners. Please feel free to reach out to Anthony or to me. And we hope we will see you on the next show. This has been So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent. We'll see you next time. We are so grateful you joined us today. If you've benefited from the advice we share on the show, we hope you'll tune in to our next episode. Interested in learning more about my personal mentoring programs, our Career Kickstart course, or to pick up a copy of my book, Farming for Real Estate Agents, your step-by-step guide for becoming the go-to agent in your local market? Visit www.meredithfogel.com and click the Resources tab. If you are curious about becoming part of the List Realty family of agents, go to the www.thelistrealty.com website and click Careers from the About Us page, or find me at the Meredith Fogel team on social media. Thank you for listening. This has been So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent. We'll see you next time.